All right, so welcome everyone. I appreciate you all being here with me for this rites of passage experience and to learn about my journey in becoming a Sangoma and how rites of passage can support you in your journey, in your ascension journey, in connecting deeper with your ancestors, in healing yourself and healing your lineage and uplifting your legacy, making a mark on the world. I'm sure that most of you that are here with me have a calling, and I'm confident that while you have seen my post, it was something within you, a spirit within you that called you to be here. So welcome to you and all those that walk with you. So before we begin, I always like to set intentions and call forth the spirits that brought us here, the ancestors that brought us here. So hopefully, as I have requested, that you have your glass of water and a candle. If you haven't already, you can light your candle now. And some of you are familiar with this process, as I usually do this when we open up for divination. This is going to be a little different. So with your candle lit, and you could just post in the chat that you have your candle lit and your glass of water and you're ready to rock. And I'll wait to see some of the messages come in the chat. But as you begin to light your candles and get your glass of water, I want you to begin to call upon your ancestors, call upon those elevated beings that are with you, that wish to see you move to the highest heights of your ascension, calling forth the force, the being that you may know as God by whatever name you call this being. Feel these energies surrounding you. And with your glass of water in hand, I want you to place it at your heart space. And this is something that's between you and your spirit, the universe, and your ancestors. And into the glass of water, I want you to speak, pray, whatever it is that led you here, whatever it is that your heart is needing at this time for your journey. Begin to put that energy into the glass of water, whatever it may be. If you're in need of physical healing, financial upliftment, whatever breakthrough you're looking for, whatever answers you're needing, ask, invoke it into the water. And when you're complete with your intention, with this prayer, you can take a sip of the glass of water and place it next to your candle that you lit. And if you don't have a candle or a glass of water, light the candle in your mind and see you lighting the candle in your mind, see you holding the glass of water next to your heart, and do the same thing. As we have the power to do all of these things within us. And for those that are coming in, we are setting intentions, lighting our candle, placing our glass of water at our heart space, asking for whatever it is that we need. And when you're ready, when you're complete, you can just drop it in the chat and I'll move to the next piece. Makhosi, I see some of you are ready. I love to see it. Awesome. So I'll just trust that as you are completing, we will be right on time. So now that we have set our intentions, we've called in our ancestors, these elevated beings that are here to support us, I can now share a bit about what you can expect. So I'm going to open up and share a bit about my journey and who I am. And then I'll begin to reveal some secrets, some mysteries, three in total, that I think will support you in your journey. And to be transparent, this is an open house for the fourth cohort of Ubuntu Wellness Manyanga initiation. It's a process that my ailments, which are my elevated ancestral spirits that walk with me on this path, have created to support individuals in the West, in the diaspora, in deepening their relationship with their ancestors, especially for those of us that are called and have a calling to live out and need some form of rites of passage and initiation. And in my opinion, everyone in the West needs initiation and rites of passage for certain times in our lives to elevate us in certain times of our lives. Certain individuals have initiations that are for specific spirits that may be within the ubuNgoma cosmology. And as I share a little bit, you will be able to see hopefully where you fall in this category through hearing some of my story. Hopefully it supports you in your journey and where you are right now. And hopefully you will stay through the whole presentation. I'll try not to be too long, but sometimes spirit be spiriting and has a lot to share. So we're going to just move on right now. I also want to share that you may hear me use words that you're unfamiliar with that are specific to the Sangoma, the ubuNgoma tradition. And I will do my best to explain what these words mean to you and how they relate to you in your journey. And again, we'll have question and answers at the end. So as I'm sharing, if anything pops up in your mind, just type it in the chat and we'll go through the questions at the end. And let us begin. So Thokozani, welcome to you and all of those that walk with you. I am so excited to now share with you the three reasons why rites of passage led me to discover my purpose and claim my ancestral inheritance. And as I always say, do what I once thought was impossible and how they made that possible for me. So please open your hearts and minds as I share with you my becoming of Dr. Makhosi and all of these different names that I have. Each of these names that I have are for specific ancestral spirits that I have initiated to. So I wasn't born as Makhosi or Thokozani. My mama named me Taisha Shanae Stevens. And over time, as I went through my life journey, this is who I become as I have merged with these different ancestral spirits as we all live in one. So it's interesting to me now that we hear a lot of people use pronouns. And so for me, I'm definitely a she, but I also consider myself a they, them because I have many spirits that walk with me. And so as you see me, you see my ancestors, and they are definitely here present with you, sharing with you. So my intention is for you to begin to learn your ancestral name, your ancestral calling, and how to claim your ancestral inheritance. I want you to learn and discover how to fully use your spiritual gifts and how to deeply connect with your ancestors so that you can also create an unshakable bond with your guides. There's so many things that are happening in this world right now. It is vital, it is crucial that we learn how to work with nature, with universe, and the ascended spirits that are a part of our bloodline. And not all of the ancestors that are part of your lineage experience trauma, right? There are some ancestors that go so far back in your lineage that all they know is joy. All they know is walking and moving in their purpose. And that also lives in you. You also have access to that. And it is through reaching back and linking with your more ancient ancestors that you can be a bridge to heal those in your lineage, heal parts of yourself that may have experienced trauma. Because as I always say, we are only as strong as our weakest ancestor and deepest cellular memory, right? So as you do the work, you are not only healing yourself, you are healing those that will come after you, and you will heal those that have come before you. And so for me, as someone that was born in the West, my mission is to support individuals in the West that have these spiritual callings that don't know how to fully navigate them, because the ubuNgoma tradition is not something that is very known in the West. It's not a popular African tradition that most know about. However, there are many of us in the West, I'm proof of it, that have the calling of Ubizo, that have these ancient callings that bring us all the way back to the cradle of humanity and where life began. So my goal is that you learn how to access your roots. In Zulu, we call this Mpande. And Mpande means many, many things. A lot of the words you'll hear me use have multiple meanings. And so I'll do my best to share some of the meanings. But all in all, I don't want you to struggle with this, because it wasn't easy for me 14 years ago when I began this path, because as I said, there weren't many Sangomas, literally probably a handful of Sangomas, and my ancestors did their best to connect me with one that was actually living in the West at the time to awaken me to what was inside of me. So, as I said, I want to share with you some of the secrets some of the mysteries that I've come to share. And so here is a little bit about what you'll learn. The first and important one is how to reclaim your ancestral traditions without losing the sacredness of these traditions, so that you can implement the knowledge in your daily life so that it can become practical and useful for you. The next is how to be in community without compromising your boundaries so that you can experience the power of Ubuntu. And community in this context, it also means the community of ancestors and ancient ancestors that reside and dwell within you. So it's not just community that are your friends and your peers and your family and your associates. It's even broader than that. And sometimes a lot of individuals that I've worked with are afraid to work with their ancestors because it is said that, you know, the ancestors, the people that I knew in my family that have passed on, they maybe didn't live good lives. And so I don't want to connect with energies and those that didn't live good lives. But as I shared, there are a vast group of ancestors that are so elevated that are here to help support you and support the ancestors that may didn't live a good life, that also need healing. But those individuals still live in you, in your bloodline, and you're still affected by them. And so I want to share with you how you can be in relationship with all these parts of yourself, with your family, with your friends, without compromising your boundaries, your sacred yes and your divine no's as you journey, because it's really important to develop boundaries as you are working with spirit. And then the next one that we're going to go over is how to bring your consciousness into alignment with your divine purpose without fear, to access one of the pillars of being a healer and accessing your courage so that you can claim your spiritual and ancestral inheritance. Because sometimes it can be uncomfortable, right? Sometimes downright scary to develop these relationships and to step out into the world in a bold way, to do things that most don't understand. And so I want to share with you how you can do that, because it's so important that you tap into these parts of yourself, because the things that you may be praying for on how you can succeed in life may be part of the reason why you haven't been able to reach certain levels of success, are because your fear is blocking you from tapping into those roots. And so I want to give you courage and encouragement on your path. So maybe this sounds like you. You may have a desire to learn about African spiritual tradition, but you are struggling, not sure where to begin. You may want to connect deeply with your ancestors. And as I shared before, not have to worry about opening yourself up to negative energies that also lived and showed up in some of your ancestors' behaviors. You may be tired. I know I was tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, of feeling stagnant and not understanding why things were not moving forward in my life, why it was always this push-pull energy where things would seem to take off, but then they would, like, I would just find myself back in this stagnant energy. And you may be struggling to break free from limiting beliefs. Some people call them generational curses, generational traumas, ancestral imprints that also add on to the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself and what is possible. But I'm confident that those of you that are on here have a vision of being a healer because you are healers. But you may find yourself getting stuck on what you can do to fully step into all of who you are, because you may not have the family support, you may not have the guidance on how to do certain things. Because again, this is a tradition that a lot of us don't know about. And the more that I know that I tried to learn about this, the more I found myself labeled the black sheep. By the time I actually like found my Gobela, my spiritual teacher within this tradition, I became the blackest of the black sheeps. I was the outcast of my family because I began to move in a way that none of my family, none of my friends understood. And I had to be willing to walk alone and understand that certain levels of elevation require certain times of separation and isolation. But the beauty of this is that you will have community of others that are going to be going through this process with you. Sure, why my slide is not sliding. There we go. So what I feel the real issue is that we have lost connection to our spiritual traditions. And I see it all day on social media where, there are many that say honoring your ancestors is wrong, practicing spirituality that is outside of Christian context is wrong. But the beauty of ubuNgoma, of this Sangoma tradition, is that all of those things exist within this path. And you can find comfort in knowing that. And honestly, what we have been told about African spirituality and ancestral connection is wrong, and is lacking a lot of real knowledge and information. And for those of us that are children of the two waters, meaning those of us that are born in diaspora, living in the West, but having these ancient callings and roots in the motherland, we have to learn how to navigate and bridge and become a bridge to these two different parts of ourselves. So let's get into it on a little bit of my story and why you should listen to me and who I am. So as I shared, my name is Dr. Makhosi Thokozani. I didn't always start out like this. I'm just like you. I've just gone through certain initiations and elevations that have awakened different parts of myself and have done a lot of work traveling throughout the world, in and out of Africa, different parts of Africa, to reclaim all of who I am so that I can share the wisdom and the teachings with you. That is my mission and my purpose. And I have been exactly where you are, and maybe where some of you currently are, and maybe will be soon. This is an image of me taken back in November of 2015 in Vosloro, South Africa. It's a township that's not too far from Johannesburg. And this is me after spending 4 years training as a Twaza, a Sangoma initiate. And this is me finally coming back for the umpteenth time to Africa to complete my final graduation ceremonies to receive the title of Gogo, to to become the ancient grandmother returned. And still, as I look at this image, I see someone that wanted to heal and wanted to be healed. I went through so much in my childhood and my early adolescence of being in and out of the hospital. Doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. I would experience seizures. Then that would fade away. And then I would begin to experience depression. I had undiagnosed ADHD as a child. Like it was so many things. It was like that I was experiencing that I didn't have answers for, and that the Western world wasn't able to support me in. And so I just want to let you know that the things that you're experiencing, the visions that you see, the feelings that you feel, that you're not crazy. And there was a time in my life where my family thought that I had completely lost my mind because I gave up my good job. I let go of my house. I began listening to my ancestors and moved to the rainforest of Costa Rica to prepare as part of this journey of going back to South Africa and training with my then Mkulu Baba, who did my final ceremonies to support me. It was a lot, okay? It was a lot. And there were times, like I said, that I thought I was gonna completely lose it, but I knew that there was something within me that was fueling me to keep me going. And I say the same for you, is that I know that there may be times when you are feeling confusion, that you're not really sure what to do, not sure where to turn, not many people that you can talk to about some of the things that you see, some of the things that you're feeling. And you may feel like you're crazy, and I'm here to affirm to you that you are not. That maybe what you're feeling and experiencing is an ancient ancestral calling that's calling you back to the root, to the beginning of your bloodline, to heal all of those that exist within your bloodline all of those that will come in your bloodline. I'm confident if you're here, you are the chosen one. And as my ancestors say, the jewel of the heart, the one that is a part of the ancestral body that has been called to follow the heart, to break the chains, to bring change to your lineage, to elevate your legacy. You wouldn't be here if that wasn't a part of who you are and what you're called to do in your mission. And so this is me at my ceremony, my Parula ceremony. Some of you may not know what that is. Some of you on the line may know what it is, but it's the final, one of the final ceremonies that you do where you fetch your ancestors and merge and marry after all of the different ceremonies and work that was done and that will be done. It's the final coming together. And on looking back on where I was, remembering this day, even like before I began my rites of passage and initiation journey, I remember that I oftentimes just felt like frustrated because I couldn't understand how someone with all of these gifts and all of these things that were inside of me, um, like what to do with them. Like it would have been different if I didn't have these things and I didn't have a knowing that I had a calling on my life. But there was always a part of me that did know. And I think because I didn't know what to do with it, that also led to times of depression and anxiety throughout my life because there was so much moving through me that wanted to come forward, but it didn't have an outlet. There was nowhere for it to go, and I didn't know how to properly channel the energy that was flowing through me, the ancestors that wanted to come back through me to heal and to be healed. It was just a lot. But now, these are images of me actually several years ago now. These were some of my first twazas that I had when I was still living in the United States that I was initiating. And after completing my first initiation, I began back in 2010. I took 2 years to work with my first Gobella in Baltimore to really gain a relationship with her because I think it's really important to have a relationship with your teacher because the places that you go in initiation requires deep levels of trust and it requires you to be able to really communicate. So my guides made it so that I spent a few years just going back and forth, connecting with her. And then finally in 2012, I officially began my initiation. And by January 23rd, 2016, I will remember that day forever, is when I finally graduated and completed. And I have been working as a Sangoma full-time and really living my dream. And the dream continues to expand and to grow what is possible. And as my guides told me, as it was ordained in divinations, I am now operating as a bridge to connect others in the West to their ancestors, to provide them healing, again, to break the chains that have been holding us back in the West for so long. And I'm so grateful that while it did require certain levels of sacrifice, it didn't require me to sacrifice the core of who I am. And I could still be me while holding ancient wisdom and bridging it with who I am today. And I want you to know that you don't have to change who you are. You can still be you. Your ancestors are calling you because they know exactly who you are. They know all the parts about you. And those are the things that will make you a unique healer, because there are so many people in the world that are waiting for you, that need the medicine that only you can give because it comes from you. And so just like I am now able to be a guide to others on their spiritual journey and help them navigate their path and discover their hidden potential, I affirm the same for you. You're probably already doing it in ways now and maybe not fully understanding what it is that you're doing, but you're still doing it. And so again, just know that there are individuals out there that can support you, that can understand you, the things that come into your mind that you don't even understand. There are people, myself, and many others, that hear and feel you. And I'm so grateful that you're here with me. I'm grateful that your ancestors entrusted me with you so that we could possibly journey together. And this is me in my most recent initiation that I did back in 2012. This is where I received the title of Makhosi and I became a African doctor. That was a whole a whole nother experience outside of the first 3.5 year initiation that I went through back from 2012 to about 2016. This took me to a whole nother level. And I want you to know that within this tradition, there are different ranks of Sangomas. There's different ranks of ancestors. Not all ancestors are created equal, right? And so in my case, I was called to go all the way to receive all the initiations for the different types of ancestral spirits that exist within the ubuNgoma, the Sangoma cosmology. So even this bracelet that I have, this ancestor watch, symbolizes the various spirits that I have, that I've initiated to, that I've done ceremony for. And I was called to go to the highest ranks because the people that will come to me in the West have these different type of spirits, and I can't give you something that I don't have. And so it required me to do all of the various initiations so that I'd be able to pass those to individuals like yourself that may be experiencing an ancestral calling and need that activation and initiation to awaken, to fully awaken those spirits. So after my first initiation of becoming a go-go, the ancient grandmother returned. I had to go back and do initiation for my grandfather's spirit, my Makhosi Mkulu, and initiate for him. And I have many other spirits that were doctors of medicine. And so I had to do that path as well. And it was so beautiful that my Gobela, who initiated me into the Makhosi tradition and the Kamagu, the Kosa line, that she also was a professor of African medicine. And so I was able to do my training as a doctor and receive my doctorate of African medicine and facilitation of Ubuntu-based healing philosophy. So your ancestors know what they're doing and they know who they're sending you to be able to get you what you need. And you'll have many teachers over time. It's not one teacher that will support you. Your ancestors will make sure that they bring many teachers in your life to support the different parts of yourself that need that elevation and that education. So, yeah, this journey, this level was a whole nother level of work. And I want to share that with each different ancestral spirit that you have comes a different level of what is known as Ubizo. Ubizo means an ancestral calling that comes in the form of ancestral sickness that is due to a calling for that ancestor to come forward. And it can come with different mental and even physical health challenges. It could show up in your finances, depending on what type of spirit that you may have. Ubizu and dis-ease can show up in many ways in your life. For me, my calling came as a child, and like I said, I was having seizures, which I know now that that's not really what that was, but that's how it was showing up. I experienced depression, anxiety. There were times that I just could not get a job to save my life. There were times that I had jobs and then I would just lose it all. Certain relationships that people that I loved began to walk away because it was different spirits coming in with different purposes that were the root of these issues that I was facing. And with Ubizu, when you have different ancestors that are trying to merge, because these are spirits that are still living, just not in human form. And when these ancestors are looking to merge with you in your physical body, it can create dysregulation in your nervous system. It can create issues in your brain. So it shows up in your mental health and your physical health. And what is interesting is that there are studies done that the different parts of the brain that show up as depression and anxiety and different mental illnesses are the same parts of the brain that are highlighted when a person is going through a spiritual calling. It's the same parts of the brain. And so, again, as I say, maybe some of the things that you are experiencing physically, emotionally, financially are rooted in ancestral callings. One of my twazas that I'm taking through initiation right now, when she started her journey, she had an illness. I believe she had a form of, I want to say lupus, that is now going into remission through some of this process that we have taken her through. And it's just amazing just to witness. I've seen so many people that have these unexplainable physical illnesses, these unexplainable things that they're experiencing in their life be healed by going through this process. I myself haven't had a seizure in decades since going through this process. My finances have been open. I have lived internationally abroad. I've been working full time for myself since 2016. Someone who could not keep a job am now being employed by spirit, by God. And the most recent thing, of them asking, of my guys asking me to leave where I was living in Mexico to come back home to South Africa. And I'm living in a friggin' penthouse that's mine. Like these are things that I could never imagine because this is not how it was. I was someone who literally was sleeping on people's couches at different stages of my journey because everything in my life had fallen apart. And I have there may be some of my priestess path sisters on here. I mean, I had to have people campaign for funds for me because I literally could not pay for my groceries or my gas to even get to a job, to get work because things had gotten so bad, to the contrast now of me being able to live abroad and support myself and support so many others. The what I thought was impossible has become possible. But I want you to know that some of the challenges that you may be experiencing, if you trust the way, your ailments, your elevated ancestral spirits will assist you in overcoming, and you can experience triumph. And so, again, this is my life today. My ancestral restoration journey, my spiritual path has given me, as I've shared, so much freedom, so much joy. And it's not to say that there aren't days that are hard, but I have the tools, I have the support, I have beings from other worlds that can see beyond, that could show me ways to navigate. I have a spiritual cheat code to life that allows me to live my purpose. It allows me to do what I love to do, to be of support to people like you, to allow the gifts of my ancestors, of God, of spirit to flow through me. Is something that is indescribable when I am divining or working with individuals doing divinations and I'm able to provide answers for things that they need confirmation and affirmation on. I get to spend time with people that I've come to love because I truly develop relationships with my students, with my initiates. They become family. We're family. And this is someone who lost family from answering this calling. So to come full circle and to be given an opportunity to have it back is something that still amazes me. I grew up being raised as someone, you get a good job, you get a house, you know, you do the things to attain the American dream. But for me, the American dream was a nightmare. It was not for me. And I don't know your origin, but my mother is someone from the West Indies, so she was not she's an immigrant. She wasn't born in the United States. So I'm like the firstborn from an immigrant parent. And so her dream and her drive to push me where I went on my path diverged completely from what she had planned for me. And so, full circle, 14 years later, her seeing the success that I have by doing this work, it has healed so much. And we're still on a healing journey. We're still healing from those things. But again, now I have the tools and the support on how to do it. And so if you find yourself doing what some would call impossible, I want to tell you to keep going, keep trusting the way, that help will be sent along the way so that the impossible for you, or whatever that is for you, it will be made possible. That I can promise you. Certain spiritual blocks, ancestral blocks take longer, different things to break through. But once you break through, oh my gosh, it's something that's indescribable. And I'm so grateful for my ancestors choosing me to pass their ancestral wisdom that I carry. I'm so grateful that the ancestors love me. They entrust me with their precious cargo with their children. They brought me you. We are here together. Some of you, I don't even know how I found you, but we found each other. And I'm grateful. And I'm honored to have you here because these are the things that way back when I was crying and not understanding, these are the things that I prayed for to help understand. And now I have such a deep understanding of spirit, of my ancestors, of nature, of universe, that I could share it with you. And the goal is, like in Pande, like the root system, that as I pass and share to you, you pass and share to those who are called to you. And it continues to grow. And this is me doing some of the things I love, some of the different rites of passage experiences with different women. Some of them are now even my Sangoma initiates because, like I said, we've journeyed through so many different things, but I'm just so grateful to have been given a creative mind to be downloaded with these ideas that take life, that take root, that call forth so many different individuals from different walks of life. And to see the results of these women and men that come to me and have their experiences, to then see them become bold and brave to move abroad, to quit their jobs, to divorce, to get remarried, to have children from wombs where they thought that they could never have children, from doing this work, from having illnesses that kept them in the hospital, to now be in remission. Like, it ain't nothing but spirit, it's nothing but God, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful when I see these pictures and I'm able to see what the power of aLozi can do and how strong they are in coming to get their children. These ancestors travel light years to come get us from the West. And so many people think that because we are born in the West in different parts of America and different parts of the diaspora that we don't have ancestral roots. But I am here to tell you that many of these women in these pictures have Sangoma callings that are initiating, that I say were the Sangomas in hiding because they didn't know. We are not the forgotten children. We are the remembered ones. And your ancestors are fighting for you to remember them and remember you. So let me move this so that I can see what I'm talking about. So now that we shared a little bit of that, let me look at the chat. I see some messages coming in. Oh, yes, these are going to be good to talk about. Just got a little bit more to go. So now on to the 3 biggest secrets. Now that you have learned a little bit about me and my journey, I want to share with you, as I said, the mysteries, the biggest secrets as to why I find individuals struggling and why rites of passage is so important, especially for those in the West. So I'm going to show you now how you can achieve some of your goals, have a deeper understanding of some of these secrets. And I want you to do it again without some of the struggles that I had to go through and trying to find my way and make sense of all of this. So hopefully you're ready to get started. And again, comment below if you have any questions, and if you want to discover more, because I only shared just a little bit. That felt like a lot, but that was just a little bit. So comment below if you have any questions on some of the things that I've learned along the way. And let us begin with secret 1, how to reclaim ancestral tradition without losing the sacredness so that you can implement in your daily life, so that the mystery can be practical and support you, because it's no good being so spiritual that you can't pay your bills or that you're not grounded enough to still be in this world, because we're here now, right? And while we have ancient ancestors that are returned, we are here now living in 2024 with all of these things. And so it's important, again, to be a bridge in knowing how to mix the mundane with the mystery and the magic. I don't know what just happened. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So, mistake number 1 that I find is that we as a community, as an ancestral body collective within humanity, those of us, especially in the West, we have forgotten how to communicate with our ancestors, and we've We've lost connection to the source. And we talk ourselves out of our divine knowing because sometimes we feel like the things that we hear and feel don't make any sense. And we don't want to lose people. We don't want to lose the things that we love. So we find ourselves making ourselves small, keeping our gifts secret. And that's not the way, because we are ancestral ambassadors. It's part of our responsibility to share the wisdom and the magic that our ancestors have bestowed to us. But it takes courage. It takes bravery. It takes a certain level of skill to know how to mix the magical and the mundane together and still make it in this world. So what I have with my ancestral guides, as I share in Zulu, we call them ailments. As I shared, we have created a relationship that I can trust beyond a shadow of a doubt. And I've learned how to tap in with the tools that they've given me to find the answers through, be it divination or patla, which is essentially an aspect of prayer, trance, mixed with ukukotama, levels of meditation where your ancestors, where the divine are able to communicate back to you so that I can get the answers that I need. And I always say that the first 4 years and really the last 14 years of my journey has continued to support me in having an unshakable bond with my ancestors. So no matter no matter where I find myself in the world, no matter where I go, no matter what may get thrown at me, I know that my guides can offer me direction on how I can move forward. And so the lesson here is be open to learning different ancestral healing modalities to unlock your spiritual abilities, your gifts, so that you can become a direct channel to receive guidance. My ancestors are always showing me ways that I could do things better because they know through the relationship that we've cultivated that I value their wisdom. And so the more that you open yourself up for a deeper relationship, not a surface level relationship, not just making an ancestor plate or having an altar. I'm talking about a real relationship, the relationship that you would want someone that says they love you to have with you. And that's not surface level. That's going deep. And so that's level one, is that it's time for you to go deeper with your ancestors, go beyond the surface. It's more than just an ancestor plate. That's a beginning. That's a great step, but there's so much more. And this is me also learning different ancestral ceremonies and rituals that I could now again pass on to my community. Some of these things, some of you have done in different ways. This is me doing Iladi. This is a big Iladi ceremony in learning ancestral dances and connecting with different parts of nature to call forth different parts of myself, different ancestors that reside in these places, learning these things. And so these are things that hopefully I can share with you. And I know that rites of passage and initiation is the missing link. I know that it is. It was the missing link for me, and I see it in so many of us because when our ancestors were stolen, when some of our ancestors migrated, we lost certain customs, certain ways that would activate dormant parts of ourselves. And so these parts of ourselves have been dormant in our lineage, in our family lines for hundreds of years and dormant within ourselves, and we can feel it. We just don't know how to get to it. So now, secret two, how to be in community without compromising your boundaries so that you can experience the power of Ubuntu. And I want to say that Ubuntu is so much more than the term I am because you are. That's one level of Ubuntu. But Ubuntu is about unlocking the parts of yourself, the gifts that are hidden within you, to move them through your body so that you can find healing, so that you can experience release and share those gifts of healing with those in your community, those that are called to you, so that they can experience healing. And that is the flow of how Ubuntu is. It is my calling calls you, your calling calls me. I am because you are, because you were the one willing. You were the brave heart. You were the one chosen. I am. My lineage, my family is elevated because of the work I did, whether they know it or not. It doesn't matter. I know what I'm doing for my family line. I know what I'm doing for my global village, for my community. That is the power of Ubuntu because the energy has to go somewhere. And whether you unknowingly have it laying dormant within you or you consciously know it's in you and you don't know what to do with it, the energy, that power, that force has to have somewhere to go. And when it has nowhere to go, it begins to create blockages within yourself and it creates blockages in the collective ancestral body that we are a part of. So to heal yourself is to heal another. That is the true power of Ubuntu. Unlocking your gifts so that they can heal yourself and heal others. And part of that mistake is because we don't fully understand ourselves. We don't fully understand the connection that we have with others. We don't understand the mysteries that live within us. And so the more you can learn yourself, the more that you can access those dormant parts, the parts that you don't understand, so that they could be awakened. You have to remember that the energy, it it wants to live. That's what it is sourced for. It has to have somewhere to go. And if it doesn't, it will begin to deteriorate you and your life. So allow the channel, learn how to fully tap into these parts of yourself, the ancestors that are dormant within you, that are healers, and the ancestors that are dormant within you that need to be healed. That's the first layer of Ubuntu, is healing your family line, and it continues to ripple out into the world. So, as I've shared, a part of the reason why we struggle is because we try to figure out the mysteries of life alone. And that's not how this realm is designed. It's not designed to do it alone. That's why we see so many people experiencing burnout, so many people dealing with bouts of depression, because they're trying to lift a heavy load that was never just there for themselves to lift. We thrive in community. We need it to live, to be well, to have mental wellness. We need others. We need a certain amount of hugs every day. We need to be able to touch one another, to touch nature. And so rites of passage is the bridge to bring people together to heal that gap. And everyone has an opportunity to see how deeply connected we are to one another when we go through rites of passage together. It's so healing to be able to witness how we mirror one another. It's affirming when we have the opportunity to be seen and see others, because there's so many times that we feel unheard. There's so many ancestors that live within us that weren't witnessed, that weren't heard, that it created a heartbreak. And what's interesting is for Africans, Black Americans, the number one disease is heart disease. It's heartache coming through heart attack, heart disease, high blood pressure. It all deals with the heart. And it's these fragments of the heart, these ancestral fragments that were created in the heart. The heart is the first organ to develop. And it's also one of the first that we experience in becoming broken and becoming hurt, becoming traumatized. So when we can simply just feel seen, in Zulu we say, Swabona, Sanbonani, I see you. The response is Yebo, yes, I see you. All of you, all those that walk with you. We say Thokoza, Thokozani, I greet you, the ancestors that walk with you, those that called you. I'm witnessing you. I witness not only you, but all of those that are with you. We have to get back to these things. so that you can be affirmed. And our ancestors, they knew this. And it was hidden in rites of passage and initiation. And it's time that we bring these things back to heal ourselves and to heal the collective of humanity. Ubuntu is the way to achieve optimal wellness. And as I shared, we struggle because we try to we try to figure things out alone. And that's not what we're here to do. And here are some images throughout different stages of my initiation, my Makhosi initiation. This is the last initiation that I've done with different people, some of my siblings, my spiritual siblings, who I was able to journey with. And for them, it was so amazing for them to meet someone that came all the way from America that experiences the same things they do, that has some of the same spirits or even more than they carry. It was so healing for us. It was so healing to find a community and a family that could support the different parts of myself, the different ancestors that needed upliftment that my first teacher wasn't able to offer me because they didn't have those spirits. And as I shared before, you can only give what you have. And so I had to go several years, even after my graduation. Like I said, I graduated in 2016. I didn't find someone to support me with my Makhosi, with all of these different spirits that I had until 2021. But the beauty of that was that I was able to grow from 2016, from graduating, and begin to work full time and work with people in the West because I was still living there on and off. And I was able to see patterns of what we experience and some of the differences between what Ubizo looks like in the West versus what Ubizo looks like in for those that are native to South Africa. And then there are just some things that are universal for all of us. But as children of two waters, we have a unique experience because we also have ancestors that experienced the Ma'afa, that experienced slavery and different things that those that stayed. And while South Africa did have apartheid, they weren't taken from their land. They didn't lose their mother tongue. They didn't lose certain cultural rituals that were done. So we are having to reclaim those things. My Gobella, my Makhosi mom that initiated me in my Amakosi phase, didn't understand why it was so important and why some of my ancestors were so adamant that they wanted certain ceremonies to be done on Juneteenth. She didn't understand because Juneteenth doesn't exist in South Africa. And so I had to educate them on some of the things that we are coming with from the West, some of the experiences. And it's why I'm so adamant and focused on supporting individuals from the West, because our spiritual callings, while they're rooted in these ancient callings, they also have diverged because of the different experiences that our ancestors went through, that we have gone through because of where we are living in the world. And though all of those things affect our calling, all of those things affect the ancestors that are with us, whether they're ancient spirits or not. We have to, again, become advocates and ambassadors to advocate for ourselves, to share the things that we experience in modern day, in Western culture, so that this tradition, which is a living tradition, so that it can expand and grow to be able to hold all of us, no matter where we come from. And so it's just one of the reasons why my work is specifically dedicated to us, because some of the things that we have experienced and are experiencing are very unique, and there are certain rituals that need to be done specifically for us and those ancestors, to have ancestors that only know the West and America and different parts of the diaspora, so they can have healing, so they can be merged and reintroduced to the ancient parts of themselves that they have forgotten through you, the bridge, the jewel of the heart. So, our last secret: how to bring the consciousness into alignment with our divine purpose without fear, so that we can claim our spiritual and ancestral inheritance. And so, this mistake is that we have forgotten that abundance is our birthright. And I just want to offer this gentle reminder to you that as you may find yourself focusing on clearing and healing generational trauma, generational curses, I want you to not forget that you also have to claim your generational strengths. You have generational joy. You have generational wisdom that you can also claim and tap into. And that your ancestors don't only have wounds to give you, there's so much more that they can give you. And it's important to remember that you are the embodiment of their ancestral wealth. It all lives within you. It's all at your feet when you can remember how to tap into it and access it. So the final lesson is, again, that some generational traumas are created through generational choices. And so I ask you, what are you deciding? Are you deciding to just go along to get along because that was the way that it was done? Are you willing to be brave and diverge, to break those chains, to be a force of change in your lineage for your community, to show that it's possible? I don't know if I mentioned this, but ubuNgoma, the tradition of the Sangoma, it means the way of the drum. And a Sangoma is someone that becomes entranced by the sound of the drum. And the first drum that is developed in our human development is the heart. It's the first organ that comes into being as we are being created, as we are fetuses. Your heart is the drum. It's the way that we patla, that we connect with spirit, that we call upon our ancestors, of all those that walk with us. Umdao, Umguni, Ulukulu, Umdiki, Usitunya, Umoya, when we call upon our ancestors, when we give praise, it's the ancient form of libation. And so to be a Sangoma means, while it is a drum that is played, and that's one level, it's also important to remember the first drum, the beating of your heart, and following your heart's calling, where it's leading you, and to trust it. Because that is the organ and the part of yourself that will lead you to connect with Umoya, with spirit, divine spirit, to access wisdom beyond this world that will help you in this world. And our ancestral guides are always sending us messages. But we have to remember and learn how to tap into the wisdom, because it's all around us. It's all there. And the more I began to see how my life was a reflection of my mindset, my choices that I was making, and understanding that some of the ways that my mind was programmed to think were due to ancestral imprints that were given to me long before I was even thought of, I had to rise above to elevate those ancestors, to show them that there were other possibilities, to come in tune with my ancient ancestors, the ones who only know joy, so that I can remember my joy. But as you begin to heal yourself, you are healing your lineage through the power of your mind and your heart, by the choices that you make every day. That is what will shift your vibration. That is what will call upon these elevated frequencies and these opportunities that are everywhere for us to tap into. And because I elevated my mind, my life and the world around me also was elevated. I learned how to access a completely new way to show up in the world and experience the world. I've traveled to places that I could only have once dreamed of from my cubicle. I've gotten to live in these places. Who I was is not who I am now. Who you are is not who you will be if you trust the path that is being opened up for you. And it's like a never-ending story, because my guides are they're still revealing more as I develop more courage, more resiliency, more capacity to hold more. And I pray the same for you. I pray that you will join me. So let's just do a quick recap. The secret one, and what we covered: how to reclaim ancestral tradition without losing sacredness, so that you can implement the knowledge in your daily life or practical wisdom, secret 2, how to be in community without compromising your boundaries so that you can experience the power of Ubuntu, and 3, how to bring the consciousness into alignment with your divine purpose without fear so that you can fully claim your spiritual and ancestral inheritance. So now I'm going to ask you a question. Are you ready for the next step? Are you ready for the next chapter in your story? If you're still here, I'm confident that you were sent, that it wasn't by coincidence that we found each other, that it wasn't random, that it wasn't the algorithm. My ancestors are the algorithm. Your ancestors are the algorithm. They place things in front of you that they want you to see. It's not by happenstance. And I'm sure that even with all that I've explained, even with all that I've shared, you may not be sure if you can make it happen. But as a go-go, as an ancient grandmother returned, part of my responsibility in being a go-go is to lead, to take you by the hand. That is what a go-go is. It's an ancient grandmother returned, one who is sent to lead and take you by the hand, to show you with love, with compassion. And I know that I've shared a lot today and your brain may be overwhelmed. For those of you that stayed on, I will send you the recording so you can listen again and really allow these shares, what I've given you, to really sink in and digest. But if you're ready, if you're willing to take my hand, it would be an honor for me to guide you. It is my sincere pleasure and joy. And it is part of my mission to do so. And even with all that I shared today, it was only just a little portion. There's still so much more for me to reveal. There's still so many more teachings and things to learn about this path. And so, as I've shared, I've created with my guides this process, this journey, this 13-month journey, because I don't recommend that individuals with Ubizo, whether it's confirmed in divination that you're called to the path of Sangoma, I don't recommend that you just jump into it. And I was having a great conversation with a beloved today. Hopefully they're still on, about certain levels of self-initiation. And I believe that regardless of how you go through your process, that there are going to be levels of self-initiation, because you have to want it for you. And even though I have the wisdom, the knowledge, the tools to do the ceremonies, all the things, you have to want it for you. I cannot want your healing more than you want it for yourself. You can borrow my confidence. I can lend it to you, but at the end of the day, it's something that has to live inside of you. It's a fire that has to live inside of you for you to want to learn, for you to want to grow, for you to want to heal. So this is not going to be for you if you're not willing to be guided, be it through a physical guide or be it by your ancestors who work in tandem and unison with me. If you're unwilling, unable to change and grow, if you just are stubborn, if you don't want to build a relationship, and I'm talking about a real relationship with your ancestors, and if you're afraid of them, it's definitely not going to work. If you feel resentful for being called, it's not going to work. But this is perfect for you if you want to learn from an initiated priestess and African shaman. I've dedicated the last 14 years of my life to this path. And I continue to learn and grow, to work with other Sangomas to support me, because my journey is not complete. And so as I learn, I share, because that is how I'm able to stay in a whole and healed state. This is for you if you're open to new experiences and learning new things and learning new languages that may not make no sense, but trusting that it will land within you, that there's a part of your spirit that understands. And if you're ready to have a strong relationship with your ancestors, with yourself, with a community that can see you, to allow their guidance in your life, this is definitely for you. And I hope that it's okay that I share it with you. We're almost finished and we will be having Q&A soon. So I appreciate you all for sticking with me. Again, if you have any questions, comments, anything that may have come up for you, continue to put them in the chat and we're going to go through them. And so I just want to share a little bit about the Ubuntu Wellness and Yang initiation, the 13 moon and Yang initiation. And in Yang means many things, as I said. Our language, it means many things, but in Yang, it essentially means the moon. And a Sangoma is someone who has awakened the inner sun within them. And so the Inyanga and the Sangoma work together. The Inyanga receives the wisdom as a reflection, as the moon reflects the light of the sun. And eventually, as you go through different stages, you will awaken your own inner sun. The number 13 is sacred. It's a sacred number in dealing with initiation and rites of passage. And so each part of this initiation and rites of passage has been passed down to me through my elders, through my ancestors, to give to you. And as I've been sharing, I have been on this journey for the last 14 years of my life, gathering the mysteries of ancient wisdom from the birthplace of where it all began. Earlier this year, I was able to go to Inzalo Yalanga in the province of Mpumalanga, and it is the birthplace of the sun, where the Big Bang happened. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a sacred site. And through the power of the ancestors and God, we were able to have someone unlock the gate so that we can get in there. I was able to sit in the footprint of Tiamat, the ancient goddess, this huge footprint who Credo Mutwa, a Sanusi within the Sangoma tradition, and that's the place where he went through his initiation. I was able to be there. And there's so much that I've learned from that experience. I traveled on the Genesis route. These are places and things that are talked about in the Bible. My physical vessel got to go there. These are things that I can't capture in a 2-hour webinar. It's something that these are things that have to be given over time because of what it will do to the body, because of the DNA explosions and the cellular awakenings that will happen. It needs to be paced so that the nervous system can hold it, so that it can integrate it and allow healing in your body, in your vessel, and in those of your ancestors that are with you that need healing. So my mission is clear. I'm here to support the descendants of the diaspora in navigating their ancient ancestral calling. I am so clear. Every day I get people from this side of the waters that are local to South Africa, other parts of Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, Botswana, that reach out, that want me to be a teacher, me to be a guide for them. But because of the path that I'm on, I know that I'm here to support those in the West. And before I step away from that mission, I need to make sure that I support all of those whose ancestors are sending their sons and daughters to me before I begin branching out. And so it's simple. You can join me. As I shared, this is an open house to learn more about the Nyanga initiation. It's a 13-month transformational rites of passage and initiation experience where you're going to be learning about ancient Bantu mysteries of Ubuntu through the Zulu and Xhosa Sangoma ancestral healing traditions. You'll be learning about nature, different African ancestral healing herbs known as muti, different healing modalities, and how you can do them for yourself and others, because again, it starts with you, but it doesn't end with you. I want you to be able to pass the teachings on after you have experienced the healing and the elevations that they can do for you. So how it works is we have live community gatherings, monthly learning modules that will all be online in our private membership site. Each month, a new mystery lesson will be unlocked and we journey together. For those that join, you have lifetime access with Ubuntu Wellness with the 13 Moon. So I have people that started in cohort 1 that continue to come back, because the more you awaken, the more you can understand the deeper mysteries of the things that you are taught, because things awaken in different layers. So you'll understand. It's just like you could watch a movie one time and you could see it again, like, oh, I didn't even see or understand it in that way. So the more you go through, the more you can learn. So your first 13 moons, you'll be in Nyanga for cohort 5. If you join, you'll be an elder in Nyanga and you'll still continue to get access to the teachings, because with each new cohort, each new iteration, I grow, because your calling calls me, my calling calls you. It awakens and activates things in me so that I can grow and share more, and that you can share more. It's how Ubuntu works. So I always want to make it accessible for you to continue to grow and learn in new ways. So those that complete their tuition installments and you make it through, you have lifetime access. And I plan on doing this for a very long time. So I welcome you into the community if you feel called to join. And as I shared, you will be able to keep going as this journey continues to unfold. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that are included in this process. As I shared, you get access to different monthly trainings, and with each training, you get downloads because, again, some of the concepts that you learn and even some of the words, I want you to be able to have something that you can print out to study in addition to the video modules that you get. You get to have your downloadable handouts, and you can create your own Bible. By next, the fifth cohort is going to be completely different, and I look forward to sharing what is coming. But for now, we have a private learning community where all of the classes are stored. So if you're not able to be on live, all of the recordings are there. You get the downloads that go along with the learning information for each month. We get seasonal soul sessions. So every quarter, you'll have a private one-on-one with me. So you'll have 4 in total, where we get to talk and unpack and process some of the things that are awakening in you. I can give you direct guidance on what to do with those things, because as you continue to grow in the journey, different things unlock and awaken in you. And as I shared, all Sangomas are not equal, all Nyangas are not equal. We each have different gifts. And so we'll be able to check in with the bones. There's different other tools that you may not even know about that I'll be able to access to support you. And so this particular cohort, this is not something that I've done with previous cohorts and having a lot of one-on-ones, but I've found that it's important to have the one-on-one time more in depth outside of even just the community shares, because so many different things are specific to individuals. And so I want to make time as each new season comes in to have one-on-one time and talk and build with you. You'll have community support. We have the Ubuntu Village, which is our amazing private Facebook community, so you can stay connected with others. There are random lives. We do, sometimes we have different rituals that we do that are outside of the regular curriculum. May have special guests. So the community is amazing. And it's just amazing to have a space to go to be affirmed and to share some of the things that are happening to you, and have others confirm like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. It's just a beautiful thing. And we also have, as a bonus, we have monthly temple gatherings so that we can have Q&As to answer questions and share in greater depth about the learning lesson for that month in our monthly temple gatherings. And so these gatherings, as I said, are really good for you to have a deeper, greater understanding of what was shared. And also it's just good to be seen, held, heard, and witnessed by your community. I think that is part of some of the things that we don't get in the West is to be seen, to be heard, to be valued for who we are. And every month we have our community gatherings where we get to do that. And then as a second bonus, at the end of your 13 moon and Yaga initiation, you will get to have a complimentary one-on-one ancestral bone divination with me that will provide you greater clarity and understanding of the journey you just went through, and on the different gifts that were unlocked within you throughout the process and how you can bring those to the world. That's super important because there's so many times that I've gone through things and it's like, okay, so now what I'm supposed to do. And this divination is something that, for those of you that have experienced a bone divination with me, it's in unison with my ailments and your ailments and all of the ancestors and spirits that walk with us to give insight because they're able to see much further down the road than we can with our eyes. And so they'll show us how to navigate and how you can really bring to life your work as an Inyanga, as a medicine woman or man. And it looks like some of these pictures not showing because technology is a hater, but it's fine. These are some amazing shots of different experiences that I've had. And after successful completion of the process, you'll be invited to come to South Africa for a 9-day experience. It's a level 2 Inyanga experience where you are initiated as an ancestral priestess or priest in an immersion experience because there are some things, even though we'll share a lot, there are some things that need to be done hands-on. And so you'll get to experience that. I'm really sad that you couldn't see these pictures because they're amazing. But when I send you the recording, I'll also send the slides so that you can see them. And then the next thing, almost finished, so please bear with me, is which path are you going to take? Path 1, you can try and figure it out on your own. Continue to possibly waste time and money, energy trying to piece it all together and understand it on your own, or you can take door 2 and open the path where you can actually get support and guidance and accountability on some of the things that you need to succeed without the stress of trying to figure it out by yourself. So for those of you that are on live, enrollment is open for you. If you are interested in joining us for the Inyanga initiation that begins November 2nd, comment Ubuntu in the chat and I will reach out to set up your interview for admission and get you enrolled in the special pricing that we have just for those of you that have stuck with me this long. And just one more time, quickly reiterate some of the things you'll get. Again, you have the online membership. You'll have 13 monthly learning lessons. You get 4 one-on-one soul sessions with me. We'll have an exclusive members portal where all of the information is stored. We have different shares and community engagement, different things that we'll do throughout our time together that are bonuses on top of what you'll learn. You have your private Facebook community where sometimes I come in, pop in and share different things. You have our monthly temple gatherings. You'll get your bonus ancestral healing divination with me. And for those that graduate, you will have a special invitation to come to Western Cape, South Africa, and fully experience with greater understanding because of the journey that you went through on what is happening to you and what is happening through you. And it's a beautiful ceremony for those that come. We'll be able to do the ceremony to get your ancestral name and the lineage that you come from. It's a powerful, powerful experience. And I pray that you make it through. I pray that you all decide to join. And hopefully one day soon, I'll see you here in Western Cape. So, the important thing, how much do this cost? And so, again, for those of you that are on this live webinar on September 29th, because I will be sharing the replay, those of you that are on now, you get lifetime access, you get your private group, the bonus content, monthly support for 12 payments of $250, which total $3,000. This is actually less than my last few cohorts. And the reason why I changed the price is simply because this is the price that my ailments gave me. And so I honor what my spirits say. And so they said that this is 3,000. And they also are having me do even more work because, like I said, there wasn't a lot of one-on-one time, which now this fourth cohort will receive that because it's important and because it's something that I just learned through trial and error with previous cohorts and groups. And I want to really, really be able to lock in and support you in integrating everything you're learning. You can also save some additional money if you choose to pay in full, and that tuition price will be $2,800. If you decide to join after October 10th, and this is going to be when I start my the public launch of this offering, the price will be different. It will be slightly higher. So it'll be 12 payments of $300, which will total $3,600. And that was the price that I've done for the last few cohorts. For this, if you pay in full, you can save $200 for a total tuition price of $3,400. Again, please comment Ubuntu in the chat so that I can see who is interested, and I will reach out to you so we can set up a private call so that I can interview you to see if it's really, really a good fit. Do a little mini divination to see if the spirits and the ancestors agree that I can be a Gobela, which is a spiritual teacher for you, and that all parties agree, and we will get you locked in. And I think we're almost done. So yes, it's time to get started. As I shared, applications are open now. And again, for those that are on this live call, because I will be sharing the replay. So those of you that are watching the replay, you would get the different pricing. So again, thank you for sticking out with me. We've been on here for a long time and we still got Q&A. So I appreciate you. Remember, we begin this process on November 2nd. For those of you that sign up before October 10th, I actually have a 5-day mini rites of passage experience that is going to be October 14th through the 18th that I'll send you more information about that you'll get to experience complimentary. That's super exciting. It's going to be on self-care for ancestral restoration and how we can support ourselves. And also it will give you insight on some of the ubuNgoma spirits and ancestors within the cosmology and how you can begin to work with them for your own self-care and for healing some of your ancestors that need that support. So that's going to be exciting. Again, comment Ubuntu if this feels good to you and you want to be a part. And thank you for joining. I really hate that some of my slides were being haters and didn't show the pictures, but they'll be there when I send you the recording, because I think it's important for you to be able to, if you want to listen again to certain parts so that it could really land in your spirit. And I'll also send you the slides. For those of you that are on live, you can have the slides and have those for your records. So now I can stop the share. We can look at each other. Thank you for being with me, for rocking with me, because we've been on here for a cool little minute. Hopefully y'all took a little bathroom break. If you want to take a quick bathroom break, I think I might need to take a little bathroom break. And then we can open up for the Q&A. How y'all feel about that? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Y'all good? You look great. Okay. Let me look through. Let me look through for those. Y'all don't want to come on camera so we can see you? Let me see you. Let me see the faces. I like to see because it helps me feel the energy. But thank you for those that are on camera. Y'all look fabulous. You're beautiful. Okay, there we go. Hi. Now I can see some of the faces. Love to see. Yes. We got people from all over the world up in here. We got people from Italy. Listen, this is a good thing. This makes my spirit sing. Okay. I love it. So, I don't know what I just did. See, that's what I get. I got too excited. Let me go back. Let me go back to the chat. What I did with the chat. Oh, here they go. Here we go. And how did I lose the faces? Because like to see, I like to see my people. There we go. There it is. All right. So let me look through some of the questions that have come through. See some greetings. I hope y'all lit your candle. Did you light the candle? Y'all lit your candle, right? Okay. I just noticed somebody had asked a question. I'm glad that you lit the candles. That's important. All right. Thank you. Thank you about the images. Let's see. Let's see. So is this Ava Grigg? Someone said this sounds like my life. Honey, I'm trying to tell you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't keep a job, the getting the job and not being happy, focused in the job. My family thinks I'm crazy. Hearing
Well,
voices. Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
Dreams. Yeah.
That don't make no sense sometimes.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
sometimes you can't remember your dreams, but you know that you dreamed, you know you went somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. There is hope. There is hope. Thank you for being here. Is this Patma? Did I say that right? Patma? I like to get the tone correct. You can unmute.
Yes, Pahatma,
Pahatma, that's beautiful. What does that mean?
she who cleanses.
Come on. I love that. That's beautiful. So it
Thank
sounds
you.
like your life too. That was
No,
you was
yes,
okay.
the childhood illness can't be explained. Lot of death early, like my
Mm.
brother, my closest cousin, my father in a terrible accident. So just a lot of trauma. And then the job I used to just give up. When people ask me where I work, I'd be like, work. I just gave up on that. And I'm a mother of four. So I spent many years just being a mother. And so now they're older and I'm going back into work and it seems easier. And I think it's because I have more focus to use that to fuel my life's work, which is right why I'm here. So
Mm.
it's like alignment. It's feeling really alignment. So I feel everything that you were sharing. So
Oh, thank you for being here.
thank
Thank you
you.
for for staying and for the willingness to keep going. Because this path is not easy, especially when you don't understand like
Hmm.
what's happening and why it's happening. And sometimes you feel like you're being cursed or punished. I know there were so many years where I felt like I was being punished. Like, am I doing something wrong? What have I
Hmm.
done? So thank you for your willingness and for sticking it out.
Yeah.
Let's see. The beloved Marietta. Um, Marietta, how do you balance your spiritual life and your human life? That's a great question. Are you still on or did you leave us? Let me see. I see all the
Yes,
oh, I see you.
I'm on.
Hey.
And Mari,
Yes.
I pronounced my name Marietta. Thank you so much for,
Marietta.
yes, yes.
And what does that mean?
I've looked up over the years. Um, I found like Google. It didn't mean anything to my parents specifically, but
It means
Google,
something. We're gonna find out.
yeah.
I feel like it means something. Marietta. Did I pronounce
I've
it
go
properly?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So that's a beautiful question that you asked. And how I balance is I do my best to stay in flow. I allow myself breaks. I allow myself rest because that is something that not only I need, but that my ancestors need, because some of them that exist in me did not get to have rest. And so they encourage me to rest, even during the times when I want to just get up and do, because my programming and how I was raised is like, if you're not doing something, especially as someone who, like I said, my mother is from Montserrat, the West Indies, and if you're not doing something, if you don't look like you're doing something, if you're not being productive, you're lazy. And that I would get punished as a child. So I'm still healing from the imprint of how I was raised as a child. So intentional rest, I put it on my calendar, like literally. I turn my phone off, do not disturb. I go to the places where my spirits and ancestors guide me to go. I strive to create and maintain relationships with my sister friends, my friends who like really, really love me and have been with me for years. And I allow myself to laugh and just, you know, just just be, for a little bit. Like I go in phases where I don't watch TV, and then I go in phases where I'm like, I want to binge watch Netflix. And I think it's important to have that balance because as healers, like we need to be able to actually feel from the inside out like what is happening in the world. So I don't want to be so spiritual that I'm no earthly good. Like that's not what it is. And so there's days and times that my spirits, they say, take off all your beads, all your stuff, and just show up how you feel. And sometimes I feel like this is how I feel, like how I'm dressed. And some days I just want to be regular and have on some jeans, and a cute dress so I allow myself and I listen. I'm intentional and I listen to how I'm being guided to show up. And I give myself grace. I give myself a lot of grace. because there's no blueprint for this for those of us as children of two waters and how to walk both of these worlds and merge. So I give myself a lot of grace. And I have a great therapist. She's awesome. I hope that answered your question.
It
Let me
does.
see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see. Let me see. I think I just skipped like a bunch of questions. Okay, ready, ready. Okay. Let me see if I'm gonna get this right. Chinasa, are you here?
Yes,
Did I say it right?
yes, ma'am.
I did. Okay. That made me happy. So what does it mean to initiate to an ancestor? Is it similar to like getting crowned into an Orisha? Great question. I would say I do have my hand of Ifa, which was interesting. I actually learned about Ifa long before I even knew what the heck a Sangoma was. And they didn't let me go further than that, even though I was to be crowned to Oshun. And honey, I tried everything. It just was like, no. So what I do know about my time and being in an Eland, I'm still affiliated with Elarishas, Babalarishas, Babalaos. So I would definitely say that it is something similar, but the only difference is, unlike in Orisha, this is a part of you. And it's not to say that Orishas aren't part of you, but an Orisha can turn their back on you and choose not to fool with you anymore. Whereas your ancestor is it's in your bloodline. They cannot, because that's part of the agreement of the bloodline. And so I think that it just takes it to a cellular level, even though as you grow in working with Orisha, it can deepen into a cellular level. But for me, there's nothing like, and I have Orisha. I have my my Oshun shrine like right here. So she's with me. Um, but there's nothing like the love that I've experienced from my Alozi and my amaDlozi. Is undescribable. It's the sweetest love I've ever known. Like, because these are giants, like literally and figuratively. And I have warriors in my lineage that could flick me with the, flick of their wrist, but they handle me like delicately with love and compassion. And so it's different from being crowned and working with Orisha. It's just that just the energy is slightly different. But the initiation process, I would say, is similar. Since you're coming from that understanding, I would say it's similar, but the rituals are different. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then let me get to the second part of your question.
You answered number 2 earlier.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
Why does a calling manifest through illness? Okay. Let me see. Somebody got kicked out. And then 3, what? Darn it. Let me see. What do you recommend for someone who walks with ancient spirits that? Oh, honey, let me tell you, those children of two waters, because of the unique mix of ancestors that we have, we're often likely going to be called to multiple paths because of the mix of ancestors that we have and spirits that are with us. So any door that you knock on, whether it is Ifa, Isheshe, working with Lukumi, Palomayombe, voodoo, they all gonna open because it's parts of you that honey, they'll all open for you. But it's about you finding the root. And for me, as I shared, I didn't even know nothing about being a Sangoma. I was striving to build a bridge in Lukumi, in Esheshe, and with Ifa for many years. And honey, the doors just kept shutting. Like I would get like so close, I would get warrior, like, and I just couldn't understand, like, what is the problem? But it wasn't for me at the time. And what I say, especially for those of us that have multiple calls, you have to look at it like there's a there's a saying, in my house there are many mansions. And when you are building, you have a foundation, then you begin to put structure, you begin to create the rooms, and then you have a roof, right? Like you don't put the roof before you have the foundation. And so for me, no matter how much I loved Oshun and how much I know she loved me, because there were parts in times in my Sangoma journey, and I even have one of my priestess practices on here that she knows, like when I got kicked out, that's a whole nother story. When I was abandoned from my first teacher who birthed me as a Sangoma, and I didn't have anywhere to go, it was the Orisha who gave me safety because I was so spiritually open, having started my Sangoma journey, but then not having a guide anymore to help me. It was the Orisha who covered me, provided me protection, that then helped me find another teacher. So they all work in tandem. It's us on earth that create hierarchy and, oh, this system is better than that. In the spirit world, they work together. They work together. It's no better or worse. And the thing about ubuNgoma, which I can't wait to share, and this is something that we'll kind of get into in the 5-day mini rites of passage, is with ubuNgoma, with the Bantu tradition, is due to the great Bantu migration. The different ancestral spirits that are a part of Ngoma come from different parts of Africa. So we have the Umguni, the warriors, the Mguni Mdinki warriors that come from West Africa that migrated down. We have some of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs that are found on the walls in leopard print, like you kind of see me in leopard print. Those are some of the Kemetic priests that came down that formed the Makhosi clan. Those are the royal priests of the tradition. You have Umdao. Umdao are from different parts of Africa, primarily Zimbabwe, Mozambique. So coming from Central, then you have other Amakesha, other warrior spirits that come from Central Africa that are like from the Congo. So they all migrated down and through the Bantu migration formed what is known as ubuNgoma today. Then you even have Isitunya. These are celestial ancestors, some that haven't even embodied the physical. So in coming from an understanding from Lukumi or Esheshe, it would be like Egbe, like ancestors that haven't come down. And there are also ancestors that are Isitunya that walk the earth, that just like in Lukumi, had to hide their practices and merge it with Christianity, right? So we have Isitunya spirits. These are some of the ancestors that feel comfortable with working with laying on the hands and working with holy water and holy ash and praying. And so ubuNgoma is a mix of all of these different spirits that come from various parts of Africa that make the cosmology of spirits that exist within ubuNgoma come from all over. And so that's what I'm saying. You can start in certain traditions because some of the ancestors and spirits that may be calling you to ubuNgoma existed in those traditions. Like that's where their roots are. It's where they began, but they ended in Southern Africa for different reasons. So you most likely, those of us from the West, we're called to many paths. And pretty much any path that you knock on, somebody will be like, oh yeah, you need to be initiated, da 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 da. But what you have to start paying attention to is while they're saying that, is the door opening for you? Like for you, while you're called, are you chosen? Are your spirits agreeing with it? Is your spirit agreeing with it? Are you finding yourself hitting different roadblocks? And it may be a reason like, yes, both and, but not right now. Because maybe as you're building the foundation to your house, to your temple, the temple that is you, they have to come at different times. It was after I initiated as a Sangoma that I got scratched in Palo. It was after I finally was able to get my hand to Ifa, even though I knew this a decade before. I even knew what a Sangoma was. So I'm a priestess of many different traditions. I'm a priestess of Segmet. Like, they're all a part of me, and they all work together. Where one ends off, the other continues. It's like a hospital, and there's different types, and they all work together. Again, it's us in our minds, in the colonization of our minds that think that one is better than the other and we have to segregate them. But that's not how it works in spirit. I hope I answered that. Sometimes I get long-winded. Um, any advice on how to integrate? I hope I answered that. Did I answer that part and how to integrate it? Okay.
Perfectly.
I'm seeing some people say yes. Y'all must have been feeling what I was saying during that time. Okay. He came back again with question 3. I did some research on the Ubuntu
It's the
migration and wanted to understand how does the Sangoma tradition connect with diasporic traditions. Did I answer that? Or you want me to go? Okay.
no, you did.
Okay. See, I might be a Sangoma. See, I knew that it was in there without even knowing. Let's see. Is a Sangoma both an initiated priestess and an African shaman? Or are those two separate processes? Both, and it depends which ancestral spirit you are initiating with. A Sangoma is essentially a Zulu or African shaman, but depending on what type of spirit you have, you may become a priest of that particular spirit based on where they're ranked. Like, for instance, some of you I've done divinations for, right? Bone divinations. And there were many spirits that spoke, but some come before others. And so when you initiate to that particular spirit, you become a priest or priestess of that spirit. Hopefully that made sense. But it's both and. Let me go back. I think I went too far. Darn it. Separate processes. Okay, Monica. I heard once that when, hold on, I just messed up. I lost my little slide. There we go. I heard once that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. This presentation has been extremely beautiful and affirming to this grandmother. Thank you for walking this path. Thank you for being with me, and thank you for your patience. And I'm so grateful that we connected and found each other a few months ago. And I'm happy that you felt called to attend and to share and to get to know me a little bit. I'm appreciative of that. Mkulu Patrick, all the way from Italy. And this is something else that I want to quickly address. That even though this is an African tradition, I want you to know that people of other skin journeys are also called to be Sangomas. Why? For many different reasons. I'll explain a few. So, depending on the spirit, as I shared with you, Umdao spirits are very ancient spirits. They are primordial spirits. There are actual Umdao tribes that come from Zimbabwe, definitely Mozambique. Trying to think if there's somewhere I might be missing, but definitely the ones I know of from the root, the Umdao people come from Zimbabwe, Mozambique. And those particular tribes that walk the earth, they were travelers. Umdao deals with water. And they're also, as I said, there are some spirits that exist in all of these different cosmologies, some that embodied physical bodies and some that still exist in the celestials. And so Umdao are part of the primordials, and they are part of the shaping of the world as we know it. They were existed before time began. They're responsible for what we see. And if you pay attention to different shamanic indigenous traditions around the world, you see threads that connect them. And it was the Umdao spirits that were responsible for traveling the waters and spreading these teachings. And in the different wars that happened when people of other skin journeys came to Africa to claim different parts of Africa, there were wars. And some received their spiritual calling because of the harm that they created. They may have murdered an Umdao person, and because a spirit never truly dies and the energy of healing still has to go somewhere, their descendants are now responsible for continuing the path of healing. And I also have some students of other skin journeys, of white skin journeys, that their ancestors came together through love during those same times, them traveling across the waters and coming here to Africa. Some of them mated not by force, but through love, and had to go through ceremonies to come together properly within the tribe and merged. And that's how some of people of white skin journeys find themselves having these ancient African callings. And so that's something that I know a lot of people of African descent may have a hard time dealing with. But my particular ancestors, I have ancestors, again, because I was called to go through all of the different ranks. Even in my lineage, I have ancestors who the Umguni and the Umdao tribes, they fought. So I have some ancestors that killed and were killed. So I'm healing a lot of different things within my lineage. The part of my calling, the Umdao, came from my ancestors that come from Mozambique. But I also had to initiate Tumguni, these warrior tribes that come from Western Africa, because of force. So there are many spirits and many ways that you as a descendant may have to atone for some of your ancestors' actions. So it could be, again, people of other skin journeys, white skin journeys. I even have a Filipino Twaza that had the calling because of these Mdao spirits that traveled the waters and mated. We traveled long before the slave ships came. We were already moving. And so that is how you can sometimes find yourself as a white-skinned person being plagued with Ubizo and having ancestral sickness and needing to initiate. I just had to let you know. It's very possible. I have many initiates that are white skinned that have real spirits that when they go into trance, they are speaking African tongues. It's not made up, it's for real. So there's that on that. So I just wanted to share that. And so my beloved Patrick, I'm so happy to see you all the way from Italy. What time is it over there?
9 o'clock p.m.
Oh, okay. So we kind of like on the same time zone now that I live over here. So
Uh-huh.
it's not too bad. I'm happy you were able to come and be with
Thank
us.
you.
Were you able to understand? Because you know my language and in your language, sometimes we don't understand, but were you able to get the gist of what I was saying?
Yeah, you have to speak very slowly. I have understand all.
Okay, good. That's Ganyezi that speaks really slow. You'll have to get to know the different spirits that are in me and how they communicate. Ubuntu. I love to see the Ubuntus. So I will be reaching out to you all for private one-on-one interviews because I really think it's important for us to connect and so you can ask additional questions and so I could do proper intake to make sure that this process is going to be something that your spirit can handle. I am a trauma-informed Sangoma, and I believe in that highly, as sometimes just the nature of the rituals and the ceremonies, sometimes that could be traumatizing. And so it's important that we move slowly so that the nervous system can handle the things that it is taking on and the things that are impacting it so that you can function because there's no point in trying to heal and the healing that you're receiving is breaking your spirit. We don't want that. And I've been in many spiritual spaces where the healing that I was received almost broke me. And I vow to be a healer that understands trauma. I'm a neurodivergent healer, so I'm someone that already has a neurodivergent mind, so I understand those things. So I come equipped with that in the way that I teach. And so the interviews are to understand you as an individual so I can make sure that the things that I will be sharing with you really can empower you and not traumatize you, because that's not what we about to do here. We already have so much to heal and come back into wholeness with. I don't want the process of initiation to re-traumatize. and compound the PTSD that most of us probably already have. So there's that. And that's why the one-on-ones, that's why it's not just sign up here and pay now. I need to talk to you first, and our spirits need to come into agreement on what we're doing. Everybody needs to say yes, because it's more than just you that would be saying yes. Everybody needs to say yes. So I thank you for that. Let me see. I think we got a few more messages. Thank you for reminding us that not our ancestors relate to trauma, and we can call on those that know joy. That was so powerful for me when I learned that many years ago. Like, you mean like they don't know trauma? Like they never even had it, and they looking at me like, what you crying for? And so when I learned that I can tap on and tap into that frequency and energy, that was a game changer. And then it really helped to heal others in the line that needed that healing. Oh my gosh. That was such a game changer for me when I realized that not only trauma exists in my line. It was such a game changer when I realized that I want to write a book, or I wanted to go back to school, and there are scholars in my bloodline that I can call upon to help me. And I don't have to necessarily go to today's experts. I have experts in my lineage that I can patla and pray to and call upon and access their support. Such a game changer. I appreciate the questions being answered, Makhosi. Much appreciated. Ubuntu, that who you are and who your people's interview. Yes, all of that. Because we have to make sure. So we can literally say that we go together, you know? It's important. Is that all the questions? Did I get to all of them? Or did I miss one? I think that was it. I think we did the whole chat. So I'm going to close the chat down. Does anybody have anything that they feel called to share before we close out? Because we're approaching 3 hours. And again, I appreciate y'all for hanging with me for this long. And if not, we can save it for our one-on-one time and we can talk then. Patrick, did you unmute yourself? Did you have something? Or no?
No.
Okay. So again, thank you. I will be sending out the recording just so that you can take this in again. For those of you that commented Ubuntu that would like to experience the 13 moons and the Inyanga initiation, I invite you to do the same process that I showed you with the candle and the glass of water, and call upon your ancestors, your guides, the spirit being force that you know as God by whatever name you call that energy, and ask them if I am someone that they feel could support you and them on your journey of ascension. I'd like you to do that before we meet so that you already are clear, because if they say no, then there's no point of us meeting. It may be a not right now for other reasons, but I want you to check in with your spirits, and I look forward to connecting with you. So I'll be reaching out over the next week, one by one. And like I said, for those of you that do sign on, I have another thing that I'm going to be promoting soon for the 5-day rites of passage that you all get to know about self-care for ancestral restoration. It's a 5-day mini rites of passage, and we'll be talking about some of the different Zulu gods and goddesses that exist in the cosmology and how you can work with them for your own self-care and restoration. I'm super excited about that. So you all have a great rest of your day. It's still early where you are. It is 9 o'clock where I am in Cape Town. So I am going to get some food in my stomach and begin to rest and shut my brain down. But you all have a blessed and fabulous rest of your day. Makhosi, Thokozani, Thokozani.
Thank you. Makhosi.
Thokozani, Mkulu.
Peace and
Thank
love.
you.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace, peace.
Thank you so much. This was beautiful.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
I also sent my Ubuntu privately to you as well.
Okay, I think I saw that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Have a great evening.
You too.